I'm going to start this video by calling attention to my hair. I've spent 15 minutes trying to wrangle my hair into a shape that's acceptable to you and to my mother. It's not happening today, so this is what we're starting with. It's not looking so good. This video is about the role of a spiritual teacher and how I perceive that term, spiritual teacher. It's certainly uncommon, if not plain weird, to call yourself a spiritual teacher and start, telling people that's what you're doing. It's been kind of uncomfortable to say, yeah, I'm a spiritual teacher, that's what I'm doing. But it's really the only term that I can find for what this purpose is, what it is that I'm expressing, and what I feel I'm offering, if you will. So we're used to people sharing knowledge, right? We're used to people sharing knowledge of the material world, that people go out, and read things, learn things. It's conceptual knowledge mostly, or maybe practical knowledge, something like applied knowledge, a construction worker, a builder, an architect, a doctor. It's some blend of theoretical knowledge and applied practical knowledge, or maybe a professor is more in the realm of conceptual theoretical knowledge that they are passing on. And then you have something like a psychologist, which is still, a psychologist is still basing a lot of their training and sort of what they're offering to you in knowledge, right? In reading about the human mind, reading about the human psyche, staying up to date maybe with data and studies. So understanding the interior of the human being, what's within us, through empirical means, which means through understanding data and knowledge that we collectively compile about the human being. And of course, a practicing psychologist is also going to deeply integrate his or her own experience of working with patients. So of course it's not purely theoretical, but that's at least the basis of calling yourself a psychologist, right? That you have studied psychology, that you have that knowledge, that you've taken tests, that you've integrated that knowledge, and that prepares you, at least prepares you initially, to start working with clients or patients, depending on the context. And there's a whole other way of coming about, understanding what's within human beings, which is to look within yourself. And if you do that, you just end up with a whole different approach. I mean, it's a different approach to look within than it is to come to knowledge of what's within other people through studying, with your mind, what might be within them. It's a whole other thing to just say, I'm going to dive into me, see what's here. And from that depth of universal experience, when I get into the deepest bedrock of who I am, I find that actually everybody would find the same thing within them. So for me, these experiences of something deep within me, of something moving within me, happened spontaneously as a child. So I didn't really have a choice. It's like I just started to discover something, and it led to a natural curiosity to want to explore within myself and continue to deepen that awareness of what's within the psyche, what's beyond the psyche, really. There's like an energy and a vitality and something that feels infinite and eternal and, in classic terms, divine, right? That is beyond all the relativity of being a human being. And as you look into that deep inner space, you start to see that all of the structures of thought, all of the way that you're framing your reality, all the things that you think are real, the faith that you have in the systems around you, the things that you think that you are, your idea of an identity, your idea of your goals or where you're going or what you want, most of those things just kind of collapse when you look deeply into them. So when you look into this deep presence within, it starts to dissolve everything else into itself. And that totally displaces your, this is an awkward statement, but it displaces your place in the world. So you don't really fit in very well into normal society and the world, as your stability in connecting to these external structures kind of collapses into this inner light that you're perceiving. Very abstract thing to say if you haven't had a taste of this in meditation yourself or looking within. But it's a very visceral experience, and once you're having it, there's not much you can do to deny it. It's just there, and it definitely puts you at odds with a lot of the world. So after coming to this direct inner experience and noticing in others, and especially in certain people, that there's an impulse to awaken in them too, that you can perceive that there's like a gravity in that person to self-realize, to find the same thing in themselves that I've found in me, that I can feel all the time in myself, makes you want to start talking about it. At some point you really want to tell other people, hey, I can tell that you're pulled to this inner space, and go for it. There's something there. Or I can see that you're really depressed because you're not functioning in the world around you. There's a reason for that. You're kind of aware of something, and the only way to get through this is to dive into that. You're not going to fit back into the structures around you because you're already aware that they're kind of flimsy. So you start to see that this awakening of consciousness that you're experiencing within yourself is happening to some degree in everyone around you. Not that everybody's actively experiencing an awakening, but that this consciousness that you can feel almost compelled to awaken within you is also compelled to awaken in all other people and in all other forms, fundamentally. Again, highly abstract statement. That's only going to be found through looking within yourself. The meaning of what I'm saying is only found through direct experience, looking within, meditating, finding out what's inside you. So why spiritual teacher? Because what other title do you use when you are looking to convey something practically ineffable, something that can barely be spoken because it's so, mentally it's so abstract. Internally it's extremely visceral and direct, but it's not something that can be easily explained in words. And your whole knowledge of it, your whole awareness of it, stems from an experience within yourself that then transforms the way that you're perceiving the world around you. That being the base of what you're offering, it's not empirical, it's not really knowledge. More fundamentally, it's awareness. It's a state of awareness. So as you become more deeply aware of this space within, and as these aspects of perceived identity and perceived structure in the world around you start to collapse or dissolve into this inner awareness, there's a transformation. I mean, that is in itself a transformation into a deeper state of consciousness, into greater depth, greater presence, greater awareness. And then fundamentally, that's what you're offering people, is that state of presence and that sort of living spaciousness that you're feeling and that you're hoping to help other people discover within themselves. And that seems so fundamental in the world. That seems like the whole meaning of life, the whole resolution of all of the conflict that you can see around you. So that's, to me, that's the meaning of a spiritual teacher. A lot of spiritual teachers have suggested that it's a pointless thing to be a spiritual teacher. So it's kind of paradoxical. People talking about this inner space have said there's no point in being a guru or a spiritual teacher because you're never going to come to this inner awareness through following somebody else, through following somebody else's words. The only way to awaken, to come to this inner experience, is to investigate reality on your own, to intensely look within on your own. And to just follow somebody else's words is leading you astray in a way, because you're looking outside yourself instead of within yourself. And that's true. And so that's also a reason that it's kind of weird to start talking about this in this way for me sometimes, because for most of my life, this has been a quiet internal experience. And to start sharing it with other people, it's something that I've kind of avoided in a way for a while, because I felt like, what's the point? People either won't understand you, or they'll think you're crazy, or they'll kind of like think that you're an egomaniac for saying that you're realizing something so fundamental. But then at some point, for me, it's just like, this is still there. I don't know how much other people, can be led into this awareness through my words, but I perceive it. I know I can talk about it. I speak 2 languages, so I can talk about it in a lot of ways. And it's the most meaningful thing that I perceive in the world. Coming to this awareness in the self that is beyond the world, beyond material, that is the self-awakening of the universe, essentially, which is kind of a crazy thing to say, and yet it is what one experiences looking within. So that, to me, is the role of a spiritual teacher, most fundamentally, just to look deeply within, come to a deeper awareness, and speak from that awareness, share that awareness. Just to speak the truth and exist in the world in that space, so that others might feel moved by it, maybe feel moved to come to their own self-discovery on a deeper level.